All right, good morning and a happy Wednesday, hump day to you all. My name is Doug Mount, and I want to welcome you into my 164 NASCAR custom diecast channel and video for today. Got these couple cars here for Kyle, and they're a Haley Deegan monster truck, and I guess this is yeah, it's a Toyota. What am I thinking? Yeah, so I have got them all completed. I've got a couple coats of sealer on them, and now I'm getting ready to go across this lower front valance to add the green that needs to go right across this bottom. So, getting my paint pen ready. Somebody was asking me what kind of paint pens I use, and I said I use testers for everything. But I do use some of these Sharpies that come with some different cool colors, and so yeah, generally I'm using the standard testers paint pens, but every so often I'll get or I'll have a need for a different color, an odd color, and this lime green one is the one I use for the monster cars most definitely. The tester doesn't sell anything like this, and it's a really good match, all right, so I've got it flowing, and I've just got to be careful here. This is usually a two pass process here with this green, so just don't want to go too crazy. You can always add more later. So wash my hands with Dawn soap before I get started. Always do that, guys. Always do that. You do not want the oils from your hand getting on these cars. All right. Not bad. Again, it's just a first pass. Just a first pass to get that on there. Let's see if I can get this better to focus here. Maybe. Come on. Yeah. All right. The truck, surprisingly, when I double check the truck on the track, it's all black. It's all black on the lower valance and on the spoiler. Everything is there black, so she shall stay black. All right, so I want to get this done and get this all completed before I use my little wires here and get it mounted in a case. So that's what I'm working, Kyle. I shot you an email not too long ago, and you're probably still sleeping because you're out there on the West Coast, and it is 6:15 here on the East Coast. So, yeah. All right, so that's that. Blake, you can see here's the Regan Smith. I'm just putting some coats of sealer on this guy. He'll go back in this case. Let me come over here. This is the Casey Kane Charlotte win. Look that up. It's actually Charlotte. So a couple coats of sealer on that, and that'll be ready to go. Should be able to ship that out to you here tomorrow or the next day. So let me show you also, Kyle, you can see I've got a couple of these decaled now. The sour apple is done, and now I've got the chiseled ice and whatever this is, orange slice, whatever, I don't know. But those are the next two of the Kyle Busch Rowdy cars. I think I've got 6 total to do there. But yeah, they're coming along. Just got those decaled yesterday. Got to finish painting the underneath and sealing them up for you, and then they will be done. Real happy with how those are turning out. It's a little bit of a process, but they're turning out pretty well. So yeah, so one thing I wanted to say about mounting them in these cases. So here's the case I've got for the Haley Deegan number 19 car here. So what I typically do is I wrap the little old telephone wires around the axles and run them through and secure them underneath. That's what I did with this Casey Kane one. You can see I kind of twist the wires together and hold it in place. One thing, and I've showed you guys how I do that in the past. One thing I've noticed with these next gen cars though is the tolerance and the spacing here is not as great as what's on the trucks and the cars from 2021 and back. So when I go to try to get my wires in there, inevitably it's just too thick. And so what I've been doing the last few is I've stripped the wires down and just basically got them down to the bare wire. It makes it relatively thinner, which does kind of concern me a little bit. I don't want them to break, so I got to be careful when I do that. But interestingly, that is the problem I'm running into with these next gen cars and getting them mounted in the cases. I've got to strip the wire down. So yeah, it's not too difficult at the end of the day. I just take my X-Acto knife and I kind of make little cuts and then use my fingernails and kind of pull them off and work my way through that. But yeah, so that's an interesting dilemma that I've got myself into there with that particular way of displaying or mounting and displaying the cars. So got these all taken apart back here, walking you through my current table. Those are 3 Mustangs here for Chase Briscoe. This will be white, and then a couple yellow ones for those DeKalb number 14s. Working my way, Michael, on your Ryan Vargas TikTok one. I'm working this Dale Earnhardt number 96 Cardinal Tractor, painting the inside of these rims white. I've got a couple more coats to do there to get that to be the way it needs to be. And then over here I've got a few, I've showed you this is the next gen Kurt Busch 45s there. So that's going to happen. And of course I got I made some coffee this morning. And getting the day started here. So, talking about getting the day started, just a short video this morning. Let's look at our next... Oh, you know what? What am I thinking? I completely forgot one of the main things I wanted to show you guys. How in the world could I forget this? That's crazy. Here I am getting ready to go to my Bible verse, and I'm not showing you the package of decals I got from Mr. Pattos in the mail yesterday. So Isaac, this has finally come in. I've got your donor cars, and now I can start building some of these guys for you. So here's a throwback to Ken Schrader, the Kodiak number 25s. This is actually a 2019 scheme. You can see the design here is a 2019 Chevy with the Monster logo, but it's a throwback to the Kodiak Snuff. Is that what it was? I think that's what it was. That's what I remember. So I had the white background removed, and we'll put that together for you. That will be really sharp. Got these kind of out of order, but yeah, so I got a couple here. Sergio, your AJ Allmendinger schemes have come in from 2016. So he asked, oh man, AJ is on a roll. He has kind of resurrected his career, went back to the Xfinity series, and he's making things happen. So yeah, good job, AJ. So the Ralphs and the Food for Less, I had the blue background removed. That way I can get this roof correct, and it should look pretty good. The front nose will be a little tough, but at the end of the day, that was the lesser of two evils. So I've got these two for you, Sergio, that have come in. And then back to yours, Isaac. So here we have the Carl Edwards. This is a 2016 Xfinity playoff scheme. I think he ran it at Kansas. And so it's black. I had the black background removed. There's this wave of somewhat charcoal color. But yeah, Cousin Carl. That'll be a fun scheme to make. Trying to find these 2016, 2015 Camrys are not always easy, but I'll get some. And then Isaac had wanted a few older schemes, and we're going back into the 80s. This is a Ricky Rudd, number 15, Motorcraft. So I'll have to get some Ford Thunderbirds there out of what you sent me. And I had the red background removed there. And then on this, same thing, a little bit of a different design. It's very interesting. I mean, just a odd, block type numbering, 15 there. But yeah. And then the Jeff Bodine Levi Garrett number 5. I had again white background removed here, and yeah, that will be really something. I can't get over, guys, these Silk Ink decals. They're just so vibrant. The colors are so vibrant, and they really look terrific. The progress that Pattos has made in his decal offering has just been awesome, and really makes these customs just stand out so nicely. So yeah, so that is what has come in the mail, and I will be adding those to the rows here shortly and starting to work those for you guys. So yeah, that's that. Mannix, I also got something that you had requested, so I'm not going to show that on the camera. But yeah, so Mannix, that is downrange. I'll shoot you an email about that here shortly. So, good news. Good news all around. And let's look at the best news that we could ever look at, and that's the words of Christ. So, probably Jesus' foundational words here is a memory verse that I want to look at, that I started memorizing back in 1998, 24 years ago, almost 25, because I started in January. But the words of Christ, this is his call to people, and this is his call to come and get rest. Matthew 11, 28 to 30. Let's look at the verse. I'll kind of unpack it quickly, and then challenge you guys with a response, right? That's what we should always be thinking about, is how am I going to respond to the words of Christ? Okay. Jesus says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." So I memorized these three verses 28, 29, and 30. And it's like anything with the Word of God. It's so powerful as you continue to chew on it and think about it over years, and actually, more than 2 decades. My mind has gone to this verse, And it's funny because I respond to it, and I have responded to it in the past, but I have to respond to it today, because this world is so deceiving, and it's so tricky in that it kind of sucks us in, and we're not really able to come out of it if we don't have a regular practice of reading God's Word and calling out to Him for help and coming to Him for rest. So let's look at what Jesus says here. He says, "Come unto me." Right there, you just stop. When you look at the answers to the problems of this world, you say, oh, you got to go to therapy. Oh, you've got to change your diet. Oh, you've got to follow this regimen. Oh, you've got to follow this list of do's and don'ts. Oh, you've got to exercise. You got to do yoga. You got to go to the gym. I mean, come on. Meditate, right? Jesus says the answer to life's problems and to where to get rest and peace is Himself. I just find that so fundamental, but also so simple. Jesus Himself, God in the flesh, is the answer to our problems. And we have many, just like the Israelites back then had many. The cares of finances. Where's their next meal coming from? Look at this oppressive government that they had, the Roman government. Look at all the taxes that were levied upon them. The lack of freedom that they had. And then you had the religious Pharisees of the day that were so corrupt and they had this show of doing right, but at the end of the day they were corrupt and putrid on the inside. So there weren't answers anywhere. And here comes Jesus saying, I am the answer. He says, for all of you that are weary, all of you that are heavy laden or burdened, and I will give you rest. The answer is not in more money. And that's one thing I think that this culture the American culture has kicked us with and given us a false hope in, is that, if we have money and we have a big bank account, or we have a lot in the stock market or in our savings or retirement, you know what, guys? It's only there for a little while, and it can be taken away. We need Jesus. He's the one who will truly give us rest and peace. So how do we get that? He says, come to me. Okay, but what does that really mean? Well, He explains it. Take my yoke upon you and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and you shall find rest unto your souls. So everybody back then knew what a yoke was. A yoke was a large piece of wood that was like shaped like this, that went around the necks of two ox or two cows, and you were able to then get them to work for you and do the power of not one but two, and they would go in the same direction because they were yoked together. And if one went this way, they both had to go that way, or if the driver was driving them, they would have to go in the same direction because that yoke would make them go in the same direction. And it wasn't a very kind piece of wood. It was very rough, right? Locked them in place. But Jesus says that's what we have to do with Him if we want to find rest unto our souls, the deepest level of our beings. We have to yoke ourselves with Him, and we have to learn of Him. We have to be a disciple of Jesus. We have to put ourselves in a teachable position. And what are the two greatest characteristics of Christ that He is going to pass to us? It is meekness and humility, lowly in heart. Meekness is not being weak. What it is it is incredible strength that is under control. So that's how we define meekness, how it is defined, really. It's defined for us. It's strength under control. And then, of course, humility. The more time we spend with Jesus, He will give us power, He says. He will give us strength and help. But it will be under control. We will have self-control. And we will also be humble people. And as I've been spending time with Jesus these 30 years of my life, I do struggle at times with self-control. I do struggle at times with humility. But I definitely don't struggle as much as I did. I do a lot better today than I did 30 years ago. And it's because I've been yoked with Christ. So, Jesus explains that his yoke is not something to be shunned, where we get in that yoke and we can't wait till we get it off. We actually get into that yoke and we find that it is actually kind to us. It's easy. And the burden that he places on us is light. There is a burden. Don't come into Christianity thinking that, it's all bunny rabbits and flowery meadows. No, there's work. There is work. However, it is of the lighter version. Jesus offers us this peace and rest. We have to yoke ourselves. We have to become a disciple of Christ. And it is going to be much easier for us to follow the ways of Christ than the ways of this world. There's less pain. There's less sorrow. There's less regret when we choose Christ over this world and anything that this world has to offer. So that's my encouragement to you guys. I know it's kind of long-winded on the verse today, but this is a incredibly powerful, life-changing, joyful news that Jesus offers us, which is himself. And I pray that you guys would come to him and find that rest that only he can give, and that would be the perfect thing for our souls. And guys, I'll be honest with you, that's kind of why a secondary reason I started this channel. I want to encourage you guys how to make custom cars. That's my passion. I love doing it. But honestly, I wanted to share myself with you and the story of Jesus Christ and how he changed my life. And I want to encourage you guys to consider that as well. We may never meet in this world in person, but I hope that we meet in heaven one day and we can talk about the wonderful things that Jesus did for us. Maybe we'll talk a little customs, who knows. But God bless you guys, and we'll have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.